Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my Asexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my own asexual life journey, all to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. If you find the content useful, helpful, insightful in any way, shape or form, or you just want to give this channel some love, I really appreciate it always from the bottom of my heart. So today we're talking about the difference between erectile dysfunction and being asexual. And the differences are more than just physical. So stay tuned for that. If you didn't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this awesome Asexual Perspectives 47 Asexual Stories book. If you haven't already got your copy, go and grab a copy down below. I'm also the author of Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, which is how to manage fibromyalgia, to have less pain, more energy, and feel happy like a superhero rock star. But the techniques in here apply to people even without fibro. A lot of them do. You know how to reduce pain in multiple aspects of your life, including emotionally. So yes, so let's get on with this video. The difference between erectile dysfunction versus someone who's asexual, right? So today I had someone apply to be in my Asexualise dating, no sex dating group, right? And I always check out people, right? I always make sure that the people that come into our groups are, you know, genuine asexual, or they've got a really good reason for being in the friends group. So the friends group, asexual friends group, tends to be the only group that I usually allow some people, very limited people who are not asexual, into the group. They'd have to have a valid reason, like they've got a partner who's asexual, something like that, right? And there's probably less than 10 people who are not asexual in that actual group, right? And anyway, there's this guy and he applied and his basic answers were very quick. He didn't say where he falls on the asexual spectrum, which is a question I ask to everyone who is applying to get into one of my groups, right? And so if someone can't answer that question, usually it's a telltale sign that they're not really asexual. However, if they've got lots of groups in common, you know, lots of asexual groups, then it might just be that they didn't want to answer a question, or they didn't, for some reason, they overlooked that part of the question because the question's kind of two parts. And so anyway, for whatever reason, I always usually private message the person. But then I saw this person was in a group. It came up with other groups they were in, and it was an erectile dysfunction group. And then I saw their profile, even though it's locked, it said they're unsatiated. Now, unsatiated means basically when they're unsatisfied, right? When they can't quench the thirst, which usually means for sex. Well, I've seen people write that before, and it usually means they are unsatisfied because they're not getting enough sex. That's what it usually means, right? So when I saw erectile dysfunction, they hadn't said where they fall on the asexual spectrum, because obviously they're not really asexual, they've got erectile dysfunction, and they said they're unsatiated, meaning they haven't got enough sex. Then I private messaged the person and said, just to let you know, I have declined you for coming in the asexual group, because erectile dysfunction is not the same as being asexual. And they're like, oh no, I know, or something. And I'm like, but you're basically you've got erectile dysfunction. And then first of all, they were denying it. And they're like, how do you know? How do you know? I said, because I've seen you in one of the groups. You know, I've seen you in a group for that. And they're like, well, how do you know? My profile's locked down. Obviously, I won't reveal who this person is because I don't think that's fair. But as a moderator of a group, you know, groups, it showed me that. And so, you know, I think it's like Facebook want you to be safe, you know, they want you to know what other groups these people are in, right? And so that's how I knew, luckily. So I said, but you lied. You said you didn't have erectile dysfunction. And then you said you did, basically. And then they were trying to find out from me how I knew they were in this erectile dysfunction group when their profile's locked. Which I didn't tell them, because I thought, why do you have a right to even ask me that after you've lied and said you haven't even got it, right? And anyway, and I was trying to say that it's not the same as being asexual. And then they said, oh, well, maybe when I've had a kid, then I could be asexual. First of all, they said, I don't think I need sex though, even though I've got erectile dysfunction. I don't think I need sex. I think I could do without it. And then later on, they said, oh well, I could have a kid, and then just be asexual after that. And I'm thinking, if you have a kid, you've got to get it up to have a kid. So if you've got to get it up to have a kid, then you can actually have sex. So I don't even know why he's in an erectile dysfunction if he can do that. It doesn't really make sense. Unless it's only dysfunctional sometimes. I do not know. But anyway, I kind of don't like that. I kind of feel like they're preying on groups, and I don't like them preying on asexuals. You know, they have no right to do that, to lie. I don't like it when people lie and are dishonest. You know what I mean? I'd rather just someone say straight out if they've got a problem. But you know, if they can have kids and then be asexual, you can't be asexual if you're not asexual, right? I said to him, you know, erectile dysfunction is not the same. Not only is, you know, not being able to get it up is not the same, but also I said you still have the desire to have sex. You still have the cravings for it, the want and the need for it. Whereas asexuals don't have that want, need. In broad terms, I'm talking, because obviously the asexual spectrum is a huge. But pure asexuals, if you like, they don't have that need, urge, or want. Whereas he clearly does. You know? And I saw in his profile when he said unsatiated, like I said, that means he's not satisfied. So you've got to understand that if you are going to be in a relationship, potential relationship ever, with someone who's got erectile dysfunction, you're asexual, you have to understand that a lot of the time they are very frustrated sexually, right? So they might be watching lots of porn. They might even like try and do stuff with other people but to get it up, if you know what I mean. You know, and their whole mindset is completely different to asexuals. Asexuals, you know, in general, don't think about having sex unless, you know, someone actually asks them or instigates it. You know, if they're sex positive, they might do that then, but they not not maybe not all, but most asexuals aren't usually instigators. They usually, if they're sex positive, if their partner wants it, they'll kind of like go along with it. Like, why not? You know, some of them go along with it in a like, I'm not really fond of this, but I'll do it anyway for you. And others, you know, they're like, oh yeah, let's do this. It's fine, like a fun activity, you know. But you have to understand that, you know, they've got a completely different mindset. The people that you know, that are disabled, that can't have sex, that have erectile dysfunction, that are impotent, you know, all these things are not asexual. Asexuality is a genuine sexual orientation that's a lack of sexual attraction. You can't make yourself be asexual. You can't become asexual. Even if you don't have sex, if you still get the need, urge, or want for it, you're abstaining. You're not asexual. Abstaining is when you're purposely holding yourself back from having sex. You're repressing the urges. You're suppressing them. You're purposely stopping yourself from having sex. Whereas asexuality is a genuine sexual orientation where we don't get the need, urge, or want for sex. So we're not repressing anything. We're not suppressing anything. We just don't have that need and desire in the first place. We're not wired like that. So it's really important to understand the difference, because, you know, if you're going to be with someone, for example, with erectile dysfunction, they're thinking, oh God, I really want sex. I'm really horny now. I'm really having the urge to have it. I'm feeling really frustrated. It can even make them angry that they can't have it, very frustrated, very like, and they could even be, you know, asking you for lots of other sexual stuff. And, you know, watching lots of porn because they feel they can't actually get any in real life, as it were. And, you know, it's not good and healthy to be in a relationship with someone who's sexually frustrated and can't have it because they're being stopped, right? If they're getting a bit angry or aggressive or frustrated in that way and they take it out on you, that's not going to be good. I'm not saying everyone is like this, but there's quite a lot of people who've got guys who've got erectile dysfunction, and well, it might be a trans person, obviously, and then, you know, non-binary. So, you know, you've got to understand that they come from a different mindset, a different angle. So, you know, if you're with someone like that, you've got to understand that they'll probably still think sex is great, still think sex is wonderful, still want it, still need it, still crave it. And I mean, what if they're not? What if something happens and they no longer become dysfunctional, and you end up in a relationship with them, right? And then they want it all the time because they haven't had it for years or something. Do you know what I mean? So you never know. I mean, maybe they're suffering depression, the depression lifts when they're with you, and all of a sudden they can do that, you know? There's loads of different reasons why it might be a strict medical condition that they can never ever get it up. But you know, with this guy saying, oh well, I get it up to have kids, basically, it's like, yeah, right. So you've got to understand that some of these people don't tell the truth in the first place. And it's a very different mindset. You've got to ask yourself, could you be in a relationship with someone who's so sexually charged, even if they're not having sex with you? Because it could make you very uncomfortable and feel very like, oh, you know, like kind of like, ugh, you know, because you might be watching a movie and they're there going over the sex, right? You know, you might be together and they might be going, oh, she's nice, you know, and all the rest of it. So you'll still, even with someone who's got erectile dysfunction, often you'll still get all the sexual behavior and the sexual thinking as well, and the sexual urges, the sexual intention, the sexual need and desire and urge and wants. You've got to understand all that energy, sexual energy. And if you're an asexual that's sex repulsed, for example, that might really turn you off. You might find it's very difficult to get into it and be in and sustain a relationship with someone like that who's very sexually driven and charged, despite the fact that they can't have sex. Because you can kind of feel the tension, you can feel their frustration, you can feel that anger, you can feel like that, like that guy put on his profile, unsatiated. Oh, I can never satisfy. It's like it's an unsatisfied need. And when you're with someone who's got a need that needs to be satisfied all the time that you can't satisfy, and they might, you know, they might take that out on you in some ways. It's not healthy. So just bear in mind, I'm not saying everyone's like this. You know, I'm not saying that. But, you know, you have to bear that in mind, because I've come across some people who have got disabilities as well, that are guys, for example, who can't have sex. And they're still very sexually charged. They're still very typically in their mind sexual, you know? And it's very different. Repressing and suppressing or holding yourself back or not being able to, you know, is very different to someone who chooses to abstain, for example, for whatever reason, or someone who's asexual and doesn't even want, need, or desire that in the first place. They are fundamentally very, very different. So please do proceed with caution, and, you know, just listen to what that person actually says. See what they're put on their profile. If you've connected with them on Facebook, see what their intention is about you. See how their mind works, how their lifestyle is. See, you know, like in their eyes and their face and their body language, if they're happy with and content in their own being. You know, like if someone's got erectile dysfunction, they have to be healthy, they have to come to terms with that and what it means to them, and be able to deal with it in a constructive, healthy manner, right? It's no good craving something all the time that you can't have or can't want and may never have or want. You've either got to do something about it, try lots of things to change the situation, or you've got to come to terms with the situation as is and accept it, but with a compassion and love for yourself as you are, right? You know, don't get me wrong, I've seen people on websites, women, that've highly criticized, going, oh, this guy is impotent, I don't want a relationship with someone who can't have sex, you know, and I've thought, well, those people deserve love as much as anyone, you know, and I truly believe that still. Anyone who's got erectile dysfunction or any sexual dysfunction, or who, you know, can't have sex for whatever reason but wish they could, you know, and they feel unloved because people won't love them without sex, I do think it is a good opportunity possibly for an asexual person to be in a relationship with that person, and vice versa. You know, they deserve to be loved just as much as anyone. But you have to proceed with caution and understand that it's not just a physical thing that's different, it's a mentality thing that's different. And when you're dealing with someone who's got a very, like, kind of strict mentality over, like, sex and sexual stuff, and would still want it, need it, crave it if they could have it, and they just can't do that. Just imagine how it feels from how frustrating and kind of horrible for them, and kind of like, you know? So you have to bear this in mind, because otherwise, you know, you could get hurt. So just understand that their mindset and their wiring is completely different to someone who's asexual, doesn't need, want, or desire it in the first place in their innate being. They don't think, oh my God, look at that person, I want to have sex. You know, this doesn't compute. So I just wanted to let you know this because I care about you. I want you to stay safe. Like I said, I'm not saying this is true for everyone. You might find some loving, caring guy who's just been like, had erectile dysfunction, for example, all their life, and they've grown up with it and they're quite content and happy with who they are. They're used to it by now. They don't feel that frustration. They've learnt to plow their energies into projects and things that interest them and amuse them, and they appreciate real true love because they realize that they can't do the physical sex, so that they really want someone in their life who can be there for them, who can, you know, cushion their heart, who can love them for who they are, in spite of the fact they can't have sex. You know, those people exist too, right? And, you know, and maybe I could be with one of those type of people, you never know. But I just think, you know, I think they should have dating sites for impotent people. I don't know if they've got one. I haven't come across one, but I really think they should do that, you know. I think it would be good. But anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you for now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you've got any comments, queries, or questions that you want answering, please pop them down below in the chat. Thank you for watching tonight, today, good morning, wherever you are, and I'll see you on the next video live stream. Take care and lots of love to you. Bye. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.